Good evening and welcome to our latest installment of the Autism Puzzle. I'm Jared Smalley. Thank you so much for joining us here this evening, and what a show we have planned for you. Over the next hour, we'll be discussing all sorts of issues related to autism, and we encourage your participation in that effort. The phone number is on your screen right now. Dial it up. 821-4444 is the local number. Feel free to give us a call. We have experts from The Ohio State University, from Easter Seals tonight, from Ocala. Fine representatives who will be able to take your questions on the subject of autism. We also have our call for and our chat available, our web chat at NBC4i.com. Go to the homepage. You can sign in and register and talk with numerous autism experts from the Central Ohio community. We're here to serve you this evening. Any questions you have, feel free to bring them our way. A lot of great stories to share with you here in the next hour ahead, and we appreciate you joining us here tonight. Thank you for joining us, and happy Autism Awareness Month. We join you today from Helping Hands Center in Columbus. It's a specialized school for children with developmental disabilities, many of them here with autism. They provide numerous forms of therapy at a crucial age in their development. And it's those therapies, and specifically how to pay for them, that helps lead our show tonight. The hot-button topic in America over the past few months has been health care reform, specifically at the federal level. President Obama's health care bill was passed by the House and signed into law last month. Behavioral health treatment is included as part of the essential health benefits package required in certain health plans. Behavioral health treatments were added to ensure that people with autism are provided with insurance coverage of medically necessary, evidence-based behavioral treatments, such as applied behavior analysis or ABA therapy. However, not all health plans will be required to provide for behavioral health treatment.
Federal health care reform will result in better health care for individuals with autism. But I want to emphasize that it's not just a federal effort. The states have a very significant role to play in this, and it's this mix of federal and state efforts that are going to bring about change.
Now back here in Ohio, the insurance stalemate continues. Autism advocates cry insurance discrimination, while opponents of the bill argue the cost burden would be too severe for small business owners and their ability to provide insurance. The debate over House Bill 8 rolls on. These are the voices and faces of what some people call an epidemic.
They both have autism, but they are completely different. They're misunderstood kids.
The frustrations of caring for someone with autism extend well beyond therapy. Most therapy programs can cost more than $50,000 per year, and precious few insurance companies recognize autism as an insurable condition.
Second mortgages, loans, everything like that. You know, that's why we're here.
Autism advocates rallied at the State House last week in support of House Bill 8, the Autism Insurance Parity Bill. The bill mandates insurance coverage for autism. The bill has passed the House and is now awaiting hearings in the state Senate.
We're pretty close to a bill that should work. I think it's just a basic disagreement. I mean, if you listen to the leadership over in the Senate, they don't like the idea of mandates.
Well, you have to have a bill, obviously, that's going to assist with coverage, but at the same time, one that, if implemented, isn't going to increase the cost of health insurance for other individuals.
Representative Ross McGregor is a small business owner in Springfield, and he was among those who voted against the bill in the House. He says the problem with the autism bill and others like it is the effect of rising insurance costs.
People who suffer from diabetes want that coverage just as much as a family who is struggling with an autistic child. Every time we as a state pass a mandate, it makes us less competitive with perhaps a neighboring state. And when businesses are looking to locate, these are some of the things that they look at.
Similar autism insurance bills have been passed in 17 states, including Kentucky and Pennsylvania. The Ohio bill calls for an annual cap of $36,000 to be used towards scientifically proven therapies such as ABA therapy.
We can't afford not to do this because of the cost. It's not just the cost to the families, it's the cost to our public system on down the line.
I just don't want to see Ohio put at a disadvantage competitively in terms of trying to retain and attract new employment opportunities.
My oldest son, he's 10 years old, and he's like every other child. He deserves help.
He said, I matter, and that kind of hit home.
And we'd like to add a special thank you to Representative McGregor for talking with us. We contacted numerous representatives who had voted no on House Bill 8 who denied our request for interviews or simply did not return calls. So we definitely want to give him an acknowledgement here. Also want to acknowledge our good friend Barb Dvorak. She is the Executive Director of the Autism Society of Ohio. She partners with us in this series. Barb, first of all, thrilled to have you back.
Thank you.
And secondly, this bill has been such a passionate purpose for you all at AS. So tell me about the efforts that you all are making to further this bill.
Well, we're working at the state level, but we cannot do it alone. We need grassroots support, so we need advocates that are out there that are willing to talk to their legislators this summer while the General Assembly is in recess to talk about House Bill 8, to talk about autism issues, to educate their legislators about autism, to make the legislators aware that this is something that they need to pass and make it a huge issue with them through the campaign and through the next session.
While we're talking, I do want to mention our call 4 lines are open and our web chat is open as well at NBC4i.com. Certainly welcome to give your questions about insurance coverage a listen and a view here. Our phone number is also available here at Call 4 and NBC4i.com, as I said earlier, 821-4444. Now, Barb, people talk about getting people involved. How do people get involved with this process?
It's really easy. They can contact the Autism Society. We have what we call our Ohio Autism Advocacy Network. They can send their name, address, and phone number to our email, askaso@autismohio.org. They can go to our advocacy website, which is autismohioadvocates.org, and find out who their legislators are and get information from us. Our website has information on House Bill 8, so you can use all of that information to talk to their legislators.
One quick point here. We pointed out in the piece there that several other states, 17 states around the country, have passed this legislation or similar legislation, including Pennsylvania, Kentucky. You mentioned Indiana as well. What are some of the differences maybe where the states in other neighboring states have been successful in that effort? What have they done so well?
So I think some of the things they've done is looked at, what is the opposition to the bill and then worked on compromises. In some of the bills there is an age limit. In some of the bills there is a dollar amount cap, small business exemptions, and certainly we may have to consider some of those as we move forward with this bill.
And the most important thing is that it's something that everybody can agree upon, and it's going to be a process for sure. We're not expecting anything maybe even before the new year.
No, this is a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah.
So everybody needs to understand the legislation is a process, but we need them to be contacting their legislators to talk up this issue.
Barb, thank you for joining us.
Thank
we appreciate
you.
it. Barb will be here throughout the evening. If you have a question for Barb, she will be in our web chat portion of our discussion here this evening. So thanks very much.
Thank you.
Now, one of the biggest complaints we've heard from parents is the amount of time it takes to get an actual autism diagnosis. Some kids get it from a psychologist, others from a clinic, maybe like Children's Hospital or Nisonger Center here in town. Some parents say they were on a wait list for 18 months or more before getting in to see the proper specialist. And that's crucial because you need a diagnosis to qualify for many therapies. Perhaps those days of long wait lists are coming to an end now.
Does he flap his hand in his peripheral?
Dr. Nicole Caldwell starts her day at Nationwide Children's Hospital with a standard checkup.
He's in the process of potty training.
Her questions key on a mother's concerns.
Communication, that's the big piece. Not just not talking, but whether or not they point to things that they want. That's something that we really want to see by the time the child is 1.
Dr. Caldwell's actually screening for autism, and her guide is a parent-driven questionnaire called the MCHAT, Modified Checklist for Autism in Toddlers. She also uses the ASQ, Ages and Stages questionnaire.
It's a simple yes and no questionnaire that the parent fills out based on those answers and whether or not there are some things where the patient fails.
The use of these questionnaires are the result of years of work by the Ohio chapter of the American Academy of Pediatrics. For years, they've heard from frustrated parents about lag times between concerns and screenings.
There's a lot of families that we ran across when we did focus groups, and they had to wait 2 or 3 years to find out what was wrong with their child. And people complain about waiting 5 minutes in line at the coffee shop. How much could have been done had we been really able to refine the process and really be able to work with resources out there to help these families that are in need, but do so in a more focused atmosphere. And we think this project is a start in getting that to happen.
In 2008, the group received a government grant to launch a pilot project to cut that wait time significantly and educate parents and their doctors about the most important autism signs. The group has worked with more than 80 medical offices in the state to get the project rolling.
We've been able to really see them grow from not being able to screen anyone to being able to get screens for 90% of their kids. But, there's lots of kids who might have a language delay, a motor issue. There's all sorts of other delays in development that are common and that are treatable if you catch it early and start that intervention process early.
The push from the AAP and the new recommendation is not only to do developmental surveillance, which we do at all well-child checks, but to actually do formal screening tests. So at 9 months, 18 months, and at 2.5, the recommendation is to do an ASQ.
Among the questions parents are asked, does your baby laugh or smile at you? Does your baby stiffen and arch its back when picked up? Does your baby make babbling sounds? These and other questions can help provide answers in minutes, not months.
A big piece of this is trying to get them hooked up with appropriate services to continue to help that family with this, with the diagnosis and with making treatment recommendations and so forth.
And we always talk about, ounce of prevention, a pound of cure for every single adult issue that's out there. It applies to our kids as well. And so we really feel proud of the work we've been able to do, not just here in Central Ohio, but really across the whole state.
When we return on the Autism Puzzle, a group geared toward minorities draws strength from each other in their struggle with autism. And later on, a conversation you do not want to miss. People with Asperger's syndrome telling you firsthand about the challenges and the joys of living with autism when the Autism Puzzle continues.
And we've moved to our live web chat room now here in our NBC4 newsroom as we continue to take your questions and concerns concerning the topic of autism here this evening, joined by a cast of characters. We'll just put it that way. Our folks from Ocala are here, from Nisonger, from Children's Hospital, from Easter Seals, all here taking your questions this evening. Joining me now, Karen Ratliff-Schaub from Children's Hospital. Karen, there's an interesting partnership in the community between Children's Hospital and the Nisonger Center at Ohio State. You guys have really sort of formed a team here.
Right. We have individuals who work at both places. I'm one of them. We also have researchers who work at both Children's and at Nisonger, and we really try to make it convenient for families. We have children that attend school at Nisonger, so we'll do part of the evaluation, for instance, at Children's, and then finish at Nisonger, make sure that we're getting good feedback about what they're doing in school. So it's been a really good partnership.
And we talked earlier, we mentioned earlier in the show about the wait time for parents to get a diagnosis for their child, and you all have done a good job of cutting that down.
Right. At Children's, we had a big quality improvement initiative last summer to try to decrease that wait time because we recognized that was really unfair to families, and we have successfully decreased the wait time. Our goal is to get kids in and evaluated within 90 days, and it's a lot shorter than that for the most part now.
That's impressive, yeah. Believe me, that's good work. 821-4444 is the phone number, and also NBC4i.com. You can log in, sign up for our web chat, and ask any question you need from our panel of experts here. We'll be right back.
As we continue tonight, it's a life that all autism families know well. Maybe catching a few stares in a restaurant, some odd glances at the mall, because yes, odd behaviors can lead to odd reactions. But as children grow, so do their behaviors. Bigger, louder, stronger. It's where autism reaches its stressful peak. And the Brothers family in Dublin lives that life every day.
I want drink. Good, please. Marla. Great.
No. People just look at it completely differently. Right. And where I'm out with Rob, and you just get stares all the time. Yeah. And it's not a visible disability, so it just adds another challenge there.
His body shows a strong, active 15-year-old. Robbie Brothers loves to play. He can hoop, he can jump, and
he just tapped too hard, shattered the window.
This is couch number
two.
Number 2 out of a line of 6 or 7 we've had just since we've lived here.
Karen and Mike Brothers have evolved as their son has aged. Now there's a lock on the refrigerator. And to make sure he doesn't leave the house unattended, alarms at every door. It's the battle they fight each day and night to keep Robbie safe.
He doesn't sleep. I mean, we go days where we go to work all day. He doesn't sleep at night. We team up. You stay up till 3. I'll stay up from 3 to 6. And I'll get ready for work, and he'll fall back. Robbie will fall asleep on the couch, and we both have our day.
Robbie has rarely enjoyed rest from within. From birth, he suffered from seizures and continues medication for them. Diagnosed with autism early in his childhood, leaving a heartbroken mom and dad.
I muddled around the first 2 or 3 years, maybe a little bit in shock or dismay, because I didn't know what was ahead, and I had no idea how challenging it was going to be. I think all parents do that. I couldn't be able to say it.
They blame themselves. you think you did it or you had some. Because there is not enough research, and because we don't know why it happens, and because we don't know why Robbie, and we don't know why all the other children, we tend to think that we must have done something wrong or that we didn't do something right from the start. But we know better. That's simply not true.
But brothers bonded together. Today, Rob is monitored 24 hours a day by a team of 5 therapists, and he goes through a rigorous behavioral program. He's learned computer skills. He even keeps a Facebook page. And when he gets stressed, Rob likes to calm down to his favorite band, Rascal Flatts. All this progress, the result of years of intense work.
I know everything's fast-paced in our world, and we expect everything to happen quickly, but there's no magic pill, there's no magic moment. I mean, there are magic moments, but they sometimes take a really long time.
I started working with Rob. He got me into occupational therapy. He's a learning tool. I've learned so much from that kid.
And don't forget the role of the dog. Telly is specially trained to work with autism-affected people. He goes to school with Rob each day, another source of comfort and love.
We get plenty of signals from him that he loves us. I think Karen gets them more than I do because he comes right for her to the sloppy kisses on the cheek and so forth. And yeah, we get plenty of indication that he knows who we are, and he knows, and he loves us, and we know that.
Not that the brothers' family needed another test, but it got one 5 years ago when their daughter Kelly was a high school soccer player and became seriously ill. She spent some time at St. Jude Children's Hospital. She's feeling better now and a college sophomore. Theirs is a story of endurance, and despite what appears insurmountable, this family holds on to hope.
Everything he's doing is related to how he's trying to communicate with us and the world, and don't give up.
Up next in our show, autism reaches across ethnic groups, and you'll meet a local group whose bond grows through their battle. And later, hear about the special impact for many young people with autism who compete in Special Olympics. It really is amazing the way that technology has shaped the way that we communicate, work, and play, and the same goes for therapeutic purposes for children here. For example, children can learn speech patterns through a device like this called the Vantage Light. Through pictures, they can learn to communicate verbally. Plus, even iPhone applications are now being built to accommodate children on the spectrum. They can learn how to manage their daily schedule, even work on their shapes and colors. And our partners from Ocala have taken interactive learning to an entirely new level. Here's our Rick Reitzel.
Lauren is a preschooler at Whittier Elementary in Westerville, where her teacher, Laura Sherrod, uses a unique teaching approach, combining pictures, schedules, and visual rules. Laura started combining these teaching tools after completing the AIM learning modules from Ocala.
Lauren will come in the morning, and this will indicate this is her locker. Once she has put her stuff away, there'll be an icon here telling her where to go in the classroom and where to start her day.
Much like a grocery list, this lets the kids know the order of the activities, how long to stay there, and what happens next.
We work with the Picture Exchange communication system. It is one of the specific Ocala modules. So step 1 is simply making a picture exchange to get something they want. This is what we're going to make. We're going to make a butterfly.
By using her communication book, Lauren can say what she wants to do.
I want purple.
Lauren picks her color and combines it with a sentence strip to communicate her choice.
I want green. Nice job.
This kind of learning can be used at home and in a traditional classroom, reducing the frustration a child with autism has expressing themselves.
Many children with autism also have communication deficits as well. It's part of the puzzle. It's one of the 3 areas that they will demonstrate delays in.
When Lauren was asked a question, she gave one-word answers.
This just works on increasing her phrase length.
Making her sentence strip is the first step, but physically picking it up and handing it to her teacher is an initiation cue. This is key for kids with autism because they're often in their own world.
And for her to engage me in an activity to get what she wants is allowing me to come into her world and for her to be in mine.
Ocala is charged with, I like to call it birth to earth intervention, and so we've tried to, throughout this tool, provide examples at the preschool, at the elementary, at the secondary, at the transitioning to adult level, so that we really have tried to hit the spectrum of age.
At Thomas Elementary in Dublin, intervention specialist Melissa Smith uses an autism internet module to create games and assessments. She likes the program's flexibility to adjust the activity to match the kids' needs.
I had a difficult time with behaviors in my classroom.
Dallas is in 5th grade and working on a behavioral game.
Dallas, remember, when we play a waiting game, what do? We have nice hands, nice feet, quiet voice. Nice job, Dallas. Do you have nice hands, nice feet, and a quiet voice? Mm-hmm. Are you listening to the teacher? Mm-hmm. It's given me the flexibility to be creative and to create different games and assessments and rubrics and tools for my students to be successful learners in the resource room and regular ed classroom settings.
4th grader Arrays is working on individual work systems.
We've tried to limit the number of prompts for adults, and we're using actually a laser point to help guide him.
One of Array's strengths is his fine motor skills, but he has a difficult time going from one task to another.
He's really good with color matching. He's able to use his fingers to manipulate objects, so we use a lot of hands-on tasks. We are going to a 4th grade inclusion setting for a student that is doing independent work systems within the regular ed classroom environment.
Dr. Smith says more than 20,000 people in nearly 80 countries around the world are using the AIM program. One fact about autism we know for sure, it does not discriminate. More boys are diagnosed annually than girls, but it is prevalent among all racial and ethnic groups. Our Steve Wainforth sat down with a local woman who's aiming to keep minorities on the spectrum bonded together.
Tommy Lee, like most kids, likes to surf the web. She especially loves jazz, and her favorite artist?
Esperanza.
Esperanza who?
Spotty.
Tommy Lee loves to sing and dance, but her life has not always been something to sing about. Tommy Lee was diagnosed with autism at the age of 4.
Did a little research, and then I said to myself, you know what, we could deal with this.
Instead of dwelling on the negative, Tommy Lee's mother, Toni Johnson, started to learn everything she could about autism. One important thing she learned was there is next to no information about how autism affects African Americans, especially females.
I have not found any type of research on African American females. I even went as far as to do a research on African American celebrities with children with autism, and I only found one female. That was Mel B of Scary Spice.
Over the years, Tommy Lee was in and out of different schools, and Toni quickly found out that teachers were not properly trained on how to handle kids on the spectrum. But little did Toni know her problems were only just beginning.
On top of Tommy's autism is the big piece of her kidney disease. So that's the double whammy right there.
At age 8, Tommy Lee received a kidney from her sister, Sierra. She was in and out of the hospital for months after her transplant. Finally, Tommy Lee became well enough to return to school, but the teachers were still at a loss on how to help her learn. So Toni looked for another alternative and found the Hogland Learning Center.
That's really good, Tommy. It looks really nice.
Once here, Tommy Lee excelled quickly, speaking not only single words, but complete sentences.
She also has been coming along well academically. She does a lot of functional math work that includes things like checkbook math. She can balance a checkbook better than I can.
Toni became very active in the autism community and started going to local rallies where she started to notice a trend. Very few African Americans were going to these rallies. Toni realized the African American sector needed to be educated about autism, so she decided to form the Minority Community Autism Awareness Group.
The main goal and mission of this group is to spread awareness in communities where they are not receiving the proper education in regards to autism.
The group meets the first Saturday of every month to talk about common problems.
As a parent, you don't want to believe something could possibly be wrong with your child.
And they offer suggestions on how to work through them. Toni is glad the group is growing and hopes that it will help other kids get that early diagnosis that is so desperately needed.
We want people to understand and embrace it as inclusion and diversity.
Coming up next, a fascinating conversation. You'll hear from members of Aspirations, a group of people living with Asperger's syndrome, and their first-hand account of autism. And later, we'll look at the top available therapies for children on the autism spectrum, what experts say works best.
Tommy Lee was speaking in that piece about famous African Americans who have a connection to autism. We can add another one to that list. Holly Robinson Peete, her husband, former NFL quarterback Rodney Peete, they have a son who has an autism diagnosis as well. So certainly prevalent among all communities. We encourage you to check in with us via our phone lines here at our Call 4 headquarters. 821-4444 is the phone number. We've been hearing all sorts of questions here this evening, and it's typical of what we've heard in the past from parents and grandparents about looking for those early warning signs for an autism diagnosis. And, of course, the main piece is communication and eye contact. Or what sorts of types of communication, verbal, nonverbal communication pieces. Our web chat is also going strong tonight. A very crowded room in there, but there's plenty of room for you. Log on to NBC4i.com. You can click on the live chat banner on the homepage there. It takes just a few moments to sign in, and you'll be instantly connected to our experts from Ocala, from Nisonger Center, and from Easter Seals here this evening. We hope you're enjoying the program. Much more coming up right after this. Up next on the Autism Puzzle, a conversation unlike anything you've ever heard before. We recently sat down with a group of people from Aspirations. It's a support group based at The Ohio State University for people with Asperger's syndrome. They range in age from 17 to 28 years old. And in the next few minutes, you'll get to know them a little bit better. They're quirky, curious, often brilliant sides. They're all proof that autism both lives and thrives. I kind of want to go back over your childhood. Can some of you tell me when you first realized that maybe as you looked at the world, it might be a little bit different than maybe what some of your friends and your family looked at the world?
I had a bad habit of sitting next to strangers or talking to strangers and just being really friendly. In some points it was good because it was good for a reenactment thing. I was getting involved with the crowd, so I basically looked like an outgoing girl.
Well, I realized I was different when I was 12 years old.
What did you realize?
Well, I realized, I was in a special ed class, and there was a good chance I wouldn't go to college. But then I realized, that's who I am, and I'm going to have to prepare for that.
Yeah, I know that when I was in elementary school, it was very difficult for me to catch on to the topics that were being taught, and as well as other people right off the bat. And it was very difficult for me to understand other students' body language and means of becoming friends. And trying to understand their social skills was always a sore spot for me. And I knew that I always had coordination issues when it came to athletics. And as a result, I was made fun of a lot because of this, and it caused me to be very down on myself. And I knew that for the longest time there was something wrong, but my parents and I just never knew what until much later on.
I started getting teased when I was in 3rd grade, and I can remember how I got started when they were just doing some useless singing. But among the things I achieved in grade school was I was very amazed that in math, this in my head come with calculations. The more wordy and the less visual the problems were, that's where I'd take forever to answer a math question. I was also excelled at presidents in 4th and 5th grade.
Could you name them all?
Yes, I could, especially as biographical information like Washington, John Adams, Jefferson, James Madison.
How do you view growing up with what other people would perceive as a disorder? I'm sure you probably don't view it that way.
When I was growing up, I initially saw it as something wrong with me. I can remember feeling that from when I was like 4 years old and just not being able to engage with other kids at school. But as I got older, and especially as I started using the internet and coming across other people who had similar experiences, I've come to realize that if you're taking more of a social approach to disability, you recognize that a lot of the ways we conceive of disability really isn't a problem or an impairment with the individual. It's often the way society approaches those individuals, so people's perceptions of what autism is or what a normal person is and what a normal person should be able to do. And so, that's kind of how I view it. It's not that I don't think that I don't have challenges or weaknesses or that autistic people don't have challenges or weaknesses, but a lot of that also has to do with how the world approaches us.
What's the difference for you that maybe socially makes it difficult to meet some new people?
If I don't know, I don't want to say something stupid or say the wrong thing or something that's just not right. I get really uncomfortable and I really don't like the situation, so I usually try to avoid it. And if I can, I maybe say very few words.
School can be very difficult for people with Asperger's, especially high school. High school is like the worst aspect of my life, and I found it difficult, not just academically, but socially as well. But college gets better, as you go to college and you stay there for a certain period of time. It'll get easier. You'll find friends who are like you, and you'll feel more accepted, not just socially, but academically. You can join the clubs if you want to. Life gets more fun as you get older. The older you get, the more you have to enjoy life.
Tell me about, and this may be a little bit awkward to answer, but tell me what it's like for most people growing up in their teens and as young adults. A big part of their life is a romantic relationship, with finding somebody to spend their time with. Tell me about the challenges of that aspect. Does it interest you? What is the challenge in that part of your life?
I know that as far as women goes, it's, for me anyway, it's always been an area of difficulty in my life, and there's always an interest there. But really, at this point in time, I'm much more concerned with succeeding on my job, because there are many challenges there that I must overcome, and I feel that having a girlfriend of some kind could pose as a distraction, especially during the busier times here on the job. And I'm hoping that maybe someday there's somebody out there for me, but I believe that's strictly according to God's purpose and what He wants for my life, and I'm just open to that at this point in time.
Well, for me, it always has been kind of daunting. At this point in time, I used to be at a point where I thought I was just sort of socially lacking in the area of, the opposite sex, and I'm at a point now where I think a relationship is doable. I just seem to have the rotten luck of, whenever I get interested in a girl and, actually work up the nerve to, say, ask her out on a date or whatever, I always somehow manage to ask out the girls who already have boyfriends, which is annoying, like you could not believe, or maybe you could believe. I don't know.
We've all been there.
Experience. It's not great. Just that moment of, oh, great, yeah, of course you have a boyfriend. But I absolutely think it's worth seeking out 100% without a doubt, because it's a fundamental part of a human experience, I think, to be able to make that connection.
When we return on the Autism Puzzle, how athletic competition opened this young man to a new world of communication, the impact of Special Olympics, when we return. I really hope you enjoyed that conversation with the group from Aspirations, and we're going to continue that conversation in our next edition of the Autism Puzzle. We'll join you the evening of June 23rd, another Wednesday night at 7 o'clock, and we'll continue that conversation with that group. I just thought it was fascinating to hear their opinions on a firsthand account of what life is like with autism. We're joined now by Lynn Tremontano. Lynn joins us from Prudential Financial, and we talked earlier in the show about the insurance parity bill. A lot of parents are very concerned about how to pay for all of these therapies that are recommended that they try. What is your best advice to a parent who's maybe just beginning this process?
Well, that is always the challenge for every family, and I can tell you, Jared, that every family has different challenges within where they're going to find the money scenario. But as far as the specific therapies, it would be, right now with the health bill, it's really out of their own pockets, and that's what the frustration is. But when we're talking about parents and how they're going to continue providing their quality of life issues, such as those therapies after their passing, this is a real challenge for families too. So finding the therapies, getting the information that they're getting tonight in iChat and on this particular show, and then it gets to the point of, okay, now what happens when I'm gone as a parent? A lot of parents are very afraid of that, and so that's what I do. I help them with that issue.
Yeah, exactly. We also do want to mention, as Lynn mentioned a second ago, you can join us in a couple different ways tonight via our web chat here, NBC4i.com. Our panel of experts has assembled right right here, rapidly firing answers back to our community, and we're so glad you've joined us online. You can also reach us via the phone. 821-4444 is our call for hotline numbers. We have plenty of folks standing by to answer your questions. Lynn, one quick thing. We've said this overused term time and again, in this economy. Well, in this economy, what's the best thing that a parent can do when they're trying to find that extra dollar to save for their child's therapy?
Wow, it really is an analysis of where their money, how their money is coming in and how it's going out. Yeah. All the basics. How good are you at your budgeting? What are your expenses? Are there some really small things that you can shop around and get better pricing? And sometimes families' lives are just so busy. The day-to-day gets in their way. As a financial advisor, I step in and I take some of those challenges and I say, let me find these places for you. Let me find those couple extra dollars in your budget.
Lynn, thank you for joining us. Great stuff as always. You can find Lynn on the autismpuzzle.org, our web portal. Much more coming your way this evening on the Autism Puzzle. We'll be right back.
Helping Hand Center here in Columbus is a perfect segue into our next story, an important piece of the Autism Puzzle, therapies. Many of them exist here in Central Ohio. Only a handful are scientifically proven, but many have proven effective for families. Here's a look at just some of what's available.
It's amazing how fast these kids can learn when you find the right way for them to learn.
Once parents receive an autism diagnosis, the next step can be just as confusing. While forms of therapy vary, experts say intensive behavioral intervention is the lone scientifically proven therapy for autism disorders.
A lot of parents see the very beginning process, which does look a little bit more rigorous and sometimes can be harsh, but it's seeing that as a process.
Week after week, I'm doing the same activities with them because they need the repetition.
Children are rewarded for successfully completing certain tasks, including speech. 40% of people with autism never speak, which is why speech therapy becomes crucial for many children, and today's technology allows children to communicate through devices like this.
Like to play. Do you like to play?
It's called the Advantage Lite, which gives children a vocal outlet.
For children with autism, it typically is objects that they relate to better. Here, using a device similar to the one Alex has been using, you can form any sentence that you could ever possibly want to say.
Even have him do those sentences on the device and get that look on his face that he's, able to even communicate or say hi or goodbye to somebody. Just those little things are amazing.
And to assimilate children into everyday life, occupational therapy is used. It promotes physical strength along with life skills coaching.
Everything that kids do can be therapeutic as an everyday activity. Little things like tying their shoes, which can be so difficult for some of our kids. Being able to teach that skill, it's such a big thrill.
Even music and art provide stimulation for autism kids, but for some children like Ian Klum, his therapy is a lifestyle.
We searched Google, antioxidant, autism, and this whole world opened up to us.
That world is biomedical treatment.
The Saccharomyces
This man is among that world's leaders.
It's a medical disease, not a mental disorder, because all of those things below the neck in your body support your brain.
Dr. Philip Demio serves as one of the leading Defeat Autism Now doctors in the country. In his Columbus office, Dr. Demio focuses on healing common health problems among people with autism. Through hyperbaric chambers and other tests, Demio creates a supplemental plan to fight autism.
I do have the belief that we can recover our kids, maybe a couple of quirky behaviors, but the child can go to school, grow up, get a job, get married, okay? And blend right in with everybody else.
It was all inside of him. We had to tap it and get it out. Now we have hope. I mean, we want our child to be as happy and as healthy, as he can.
Regardless of the tools used, the reward for those who treat autism kids comes in small but powerful doses.
Even if it's the smallest accomplishment, it's huge.
I mean, I leave here crying sometimes because I'm so happy.
He can do anything he wants to do, and to help him get to that point. That's our long-term goal. And I think he's learning that, hey, I can do this.
Saturday, May the 8th at Whetstone High School, more than 800 athletes with all ranging intellectual disabilities will compete at the Columbus Sports Classic. If you've never seen a Special Olympics event before, it's both incredibly entertaining and inspirational. And that athletic competition can lead to other victories.
And then you're going to jump into the sand with both feet.
Aaron Tyson might need a few extra tries to get his long jump just right, but it's no big deal. He'll get there.
And they're easy to coach because they really
care about the whole team.
They want to compete just like everybody else. It builds up their confidence.
Push it out. There you go. Much better.
Aaron's a student at Whetstone High School, and he's making huge strides in school and on the track. But the process to get here started nearly 15 years ago. Aaron's development as a child did not include speech or social skills, and as he grew older, his parents learned more about what their son was facing, autism.
Oh, it was very hard. But the thing about it, we didn't give up.
The Tysons changed Aaron's diet, included some supplements, and enrolled Aaron for therapies with Columbus Public Schools.
That was a nice job.
Just in the past year and a half, the Tysons have heard their son not just speak, but break out.
I like to run the relay. Softball throw, standing long jump.
And he just really just took right off. He likes to eat, and he likes to tell us what restaurants he'd like to go. His favorite restaurant is like the Olive Garden.
I think one of the biggest changes I've seen in Aaron is socially how he interacts with his peers.
Sherry Andrews directs the Special Olympics program for Columbus Public Schools, and Aaron's among the thousands of young people she's watched bloom under the guidance of athletic competition.
When they come to weekly practices, they get to know the coaches, they're with their peers, they're finally being accepted by somebody at their level. We look at each individual athlete as an individual, and whatever their needs are, then we're here to meet those needs.
I might be tired, and I say, son, you want to work out today? And I'm be thinking, like, I hope he say no. He said, Dad, yes, let's work out. And that's what keeps me going.
He's your trainer?
Yes, he's my trainer.
How strong are you now?
I'm just strong.
Next on the show, we'll tell you how you can get involved with autism awareness and fundraising efforts in our community. How to make a difference is up next. As we wind down our show tonight, we wanted to tell you about some of the people in our community doing amazing work at raising awareness and money toward autism education and research. Several local organizations teamed up Monday for a junior golf clinic for kids with autism. NBC4 partnered with Ocali, Angels with Autism, and For Hope, a local golf charity, to teach kids on the spectrum some of the skills, physical and social, needed to enjoy a day of golf.
There's a lot of things to make your swing perfect. Like you need to spread your feet apart, like equal to your shoulders and stuff. So it's kind of difficult to learn at first.
But is it fun?
Yes.
Again, a big thank you to Ocali, the ladies at Angels with Autism, and our new friends from For Hope. If you're interested in learning more about our golf clinics, please email me, jsmalley@wcmh.com, for more information. And we'd like to invite you to be our partner here at NBC4 as we work throughout the year to raise autism awareness. Your generosity has been stunning the past few years, and we are eager to start a new project with your help this summer. We're proud to tell you about our Autism Puzzle Bowl-a-thon, Sunday, July 11th at Columbus Square Bowling Palace off Cleveland Avenue in North Columbus. We're going to partner with local media outlets, well-known athletes, and personalities, and you. We invite autism families to join us as well to try their hands at bowling. Proceeds will benefit Autism Speaks and Helping Hands Center. If you'd be interested in attending or sponsoring the Bowl-a-thon, you can contact me directly at jsmalley@wcmh.com. All the latest information on autism awareness in Central Ohio can be found on our web portal, theautismpuzzle.org. Autism experts and parents from across Central Ohio write on popular topics and answer your questions. Plus, you can watch every segment we've ever produced in our Autism Puzzle series right there on the web portal at theautismpuzzle.org. And the latest edition of the Autism Puzzle magazine is available now. Includes information from autism experts and stories from parents around the state of Ohio. You can find your copy of the Autism Puzzle at several Central Ohio locations, including all White Castle restaurants, Step-by-Step Academy, and several others. For a list of where you can pick up the magazines, go to our web portal, theautismpuzzle.org. Thank you so much for joining us for the show tonight. And keep in mind, we'll be back Wednesday, June 23rd with our next piece of the Autism Puzzle. Good night.